group without their permission. You can't have gardens. That's happening all over the country. I mean, this is freedom, pal. And this is good. This is great.
There's some local tyranny going on here in Orlando. I think you've covered it, where they have a city ordinance here to where you can't share food with homeless with greater groups of 25 or more within 2 miles of City Hall. And I've actually gone down there on several occasions to document this. And I keep asking the police, like, is there any law you won't enforce? So I've got police officers on record when I say, you know, if they say it's against the law to practice Christianity, will you arrest people? Yes, we will if it's a law. If it's against the law to own firearms, will you round people up? Hey, if it's a law, we'll do it. So it's very alarming. This
Isn't Orlando the town? I've seen it in a bunch of towns where they arrest you en masse. You know, I mean, even if you hand a homeless person a sandwich, they'll have like 20 cops there arresting preachers and people and really getting off on it.
Yeah, they actually had a sting. They did a sting here where once they passed the ordinance, they had cops dress up as homeless people, and they did a head count. And it was legal to feed 24 and 25 homeless people, but they did a head count. And as soon as that 26th sandwich was given to the homeless person, they brought them in and started arresting people. And
well, good. I mean, I want to stop you right there. I've seen that video. This is good. I mean, you don't pack your kid a lunch in Chicago. You can't be. They actually said parents can't be trusted. You don't. We tell you what type of light bulb or toilet to have. We home inspect you without warrants. You're not allowed to have a garden in your yard. I mean, what type of sick freak are you, Joshua, to think that you, I mean, TSA sticking their hands in your pants. In your pants is freedom, man.
I think it keeps me safe. Like, you know, I used to, when I grew up in Kentucky, and all my family and friends had guns, and I thought that was safety until I moved to Florida, and I realized you're not safe until you have a bunch of guys with black ski masks and badges running around with Batman utility belts and fully automatic weapons on every street corner. That's real safety.
Well, real safety is where the government openly runs the narcotics and the hit teams, and the government hands out the guns to the gangs that they control to kill the rival gangs, and they get caught. And nobody gets in trouble, but there's, 25 cops to come after people handing out sandwiches to homeless people and telling them the gospel of Jesus Christ. You see, that is freedom, and you ought to kiss the ground at that police department. You should worship them. How dare you? How are you listening to us in Orlando?
Well, they have you on 8, 10 a.m. They play your whole entire 3-hour segment Monday through Friday on 8, 10 a.m. I usually just listen web-based. But,
all right, well, thank that station. We're getting a lot of listeners from there and a lot of contacts. And I know they have us up against Lord Limbaugh, so it's important to spread the word about that fine station there. Thank you so much. All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more evil. You may hear folks call in who think it's all right to give a homeless person a sandwich or pack their own child a lunch. Oh, yeah, we got sickos here. Or people that have tomato plants in a box on their front porch. You heard me right. The FCC may shut us down. That was some serious profanity right there. We're going to be joined here in just a few minutes by Mark Crutcher. And he's a great researcher into eugenics and made the film Maafa 21, Black Genocide in the 21st Century America. And I thought I'd tie it into some of these eugenics books that we've been researching here, written by UN prize winners, Nobel Peace Prize winners, you name it, all posing as, quote, liberals. You need to understand what's going on and how it dovetails with this article today that is up on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. David Beckham reignites hypocrisy over overpopulation alarmist. Ultra-rich elitists lecture middle class on having less children, reduce living standards while living in opulence and procreating with gusto. All these eugenicists on average have 5 children. Private trains, jets, you name it, that is all coming up. Gold is at $1,600, $1.05. We also have silver, well above $40 an ounce as the dollar continues and other currencies to be devalued. That's coming up. But I've got to cover this breaking. A week ago, I got calls at the office. I'm going to be honest. A lot of times I get these calls, and another town's under martial law. Another town has checkpoints, even during the day. Another town, I've seen towns in Illinois where they come into your house. And it's been in newspapers, but the newspapers write it like it's a good thing. And, the Johnsons woke up to police code enforcers at 6 a.m. standing above their bed. checking to see if they had more than 2 toothbrushes. 3 toothbrushes would result in a fine, meaning more people secretly live there, under code enforcement. I mean, I've seen this. I mean, this stuff goes on. And Americans bend over and take it, so it gets even worse. Well, you've seen Quartzsite where they say there's no free speech and arrest people during citizens' communication for no reason and fire the mayor when he says it's wrong, even though the city council can't. Arkansas town seeks to ban free speech, formation of groups, including bird watching, Second Amendment, any group they want. You've got to get permission if you even want to form a group to run somebody against them for counsel. This is directly out of North Korea. And I imagine federal courts will rule it's wonderful. Let's play part of this clip and then go to our guest. Here it is.
An ordinance in a small Arkansas town is getting national attention. It's a story you saw first on Fox 16. The ordinance forbids groups to meet without city council approval. And although it's aimed at one citizens group in particular, it encompasses anyone mentioning city business in a conversation. Fox 16's Katherine Johnson talked with an attorney about this, and she joins us now live to tell us what this attorney had to say about it.
Well, it's interesting. The Gould City Council still believes that these ordinances actually carry some weight, and there's a very good reason for them. But when I spoke to the law school dean at UALR, he said they would only bring embarrassment to the natural state.
I couldn't believe that it was real when I first read it.
Disbelief is a common first reaction to Gould's latest city ordinances.
Well, the truth is, the city of Gould doesn't have the authority to tell anyone that they have no right to petition them, and no right to speak, and no right to exist in their city.
But that is just what the ordinances do, disbanding a citizens group, forbidding the mayor from meeting with people, and stopping any groups from forming if members discuss the city without council approval.
So the fact is, if it's aimed at this group, it also extends to you talking to your mother, or a church group, or any other group.
That's enough. That's enough. You know, I shouldn't laugh. You can watch the rest of the newscast at Infowars.com, Fox 16. And at least Fox said this was wrong. I saw newscasts during the Obama campaign in Missouri, Illinois, and other states. We played them, and I got clips of it in Obama Deception, Fall of the Republic, where they said, if you criticize Obama, the police are going to arrest you. And they cut to the district attorney, and they said, yes, we will decide if something's truthful. If you say he's not a Christian, we will arrest you. Well, whether that's true or not, it's your right to say it. The point is, this is a power grab. And, you know, cops can't stick their hands down your pants without a warrant, but TSA says they can. Every hospital has to have radiology test before they can run x-rays. But TSA says they're exempt. They have no law. They just say, we have guns. We rule. I mean, Hitler didn't have the law behind him. He just did it. And it's time for folks to realize this country has political, spiritual, psychological, economic cancer. Now, I wanted to get into eugenics from the perspective of what's being done to black Americans. I've talked to NAACP people. I have talked to, quote, liberal black activists. And they say, I don't want to discuss black abortion because it's a sacrament for them. And I say, so if cops beat up a black gangbanger, that's a big freak out. Everybody weeps and wails and gnashes their teeth. But if 51 to 52% of blacks were never born in this country, oh, that's a wonderful, great thing. Okay. And you need to know the history of Margaret Sanger and the liberal movement. They said, we'll pose as liberals in public letters so we can kill these weeds. Those are quotes. Get rid of these weeds. Now, you need to expand on that. And we're going to our guest here. We have a whole article up on it today at prisonplanet.com. But here it is. Beckham's a bad example for families. That's the big football star, soccer star. And the very groups lecturing them saying there should be a law against having more than 2 children. They're the ones that have 5 children or more, like Ted Turner. So we'll be talking more about that. This is a larger agenda. That's what the bisphenol A and the plastics is about. We have the government documents on that. We're going to be going over all of it today. But I take you now to Mark Crutcher, who I appreciate holding while I was ranting. And he's a pro-life movement, full-time, well-known national spokesman. LDI.org, lifedynamics.com, And he's got a syndicated radio show. He's on in Dallas, makes documentary films. I'm not going to belabor his long bio. But the point is that if you don't like government-run health care, they say you're a racist. Chris Matthews says that, and Carlos Watson, nothing to do with it. They play the race card. The truth is, at the end of the day, if you hang out with real mainline establishment liberals, they're really control-freak Nazis who will giggle and laugh at you and admit they hate black people. I don't know if that's what Matthews thinks personally or Watson, but the people I've run into, including some black folks, think we need to kill blacks. I mean, this is a sacrament. And Mr. Crutcher, do you agree with that analysis?
Absolutely. They see abortion. Well, first off, you have to back up a little bit. These eugenicists, who most people think don't exist anymore, but they actually do. You know, it's kind of like, from a spiritual standpoint, I've always said that one of the greatest tricks that was ever played by Satan is that he convinced people he doesn't exist. That gives him free reign to do whatever he wants to do. Eugenicists are in the same situation. These eugenicists have convinced people that eugenics is something that died with the Nazis, when in reality it's more prevalent today than it's ever been. And these people are what I call the moneyed elite. The Ted Turners, the Bill and Melinda Gateses, the George Soros, Warren Buffett, T. Boone Pickens. These people believe that the world belongs to them and that the rest of us are just kind of interlopers who they can decide to let stay or not let stay.
Oprah Winfrey, it's been in mainstream news that they, quote, meet secretly to discuss a, quote, global government to forcibly reduce population. That's Times of London. We'll put that up.
Absolutely. They believe that they have the right to sit down in a room somewhere with their fellow travelers and decide not only which individuals get to live and die, but which entire races of people are allowed to live and which ones will be forced to die. And it is a frightening world that we live in because the American people have become anesthetized to all this stuff, and they're more concerned about who's going to play in the Super Bowl next year than they are any of these kind of issues. You know, I could go on the streets of downtown Dallas today, or you could, Alex, and we could stand there and talk about things that we have absolute irrefutable proof that are going on, and 90%, like these things, and 90% of the people that walk by would totally ignore us. But if we were standing there talking about the Dallas Cowboys or the Dallas Mavericks or, you know, the New York Yankees or something, we'd have people lined up around the block wanting to talk. And I think that these globalists, these eugenics people, the people who see the world as their playground, I think that to some degree they may have consciously created this situation in which they've anesthetized the public.
Oh, no, they've written a bunch of books. Edward Bernays, I mean, there's scores of books where they brag in the 20s and 30s that they were setting up this system where people will love their servitude and where they arrest the development of men and women, where people are in a childlike state for all of life and giggle at anything serious.
Absolutely. That's where we are. That's where we are as a country. That's where the world has actually, we're following the rest of the world over the abyss.
If you tell a lot of black people this, who are bought into the system especially, they'll say, oh, shut up, you're making that up. You're probably a racist. I mean, you're going 52% of you were never born. This is a plan. They say that they want to kill you as weeds. They said they would pose as liberals, and a lot of black folks are so wedded to worshiping Obama, they don't even want to listen to you.
Well, yeah, but I'm telling you, Alex, we're seeing, since Maafa 21 came out, we're seeing a groundswell of not these elitists that you're talking about, the people in the so-called leadership roles. Because remember something, black leaders do not represent black people in America any more than our so-called white leaders represent white people in America. There is this disconnect between the leaders and the people they're supposed to serve. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of blacks are starting to wake up to this and say, you know, I've always been suspicious about some of these things, this eugenics stuff, and why all the Planned Parenthood facilities are in our neighborhoods, and they're starting to wake up to this, and they're starting to see that many of their leaders, just like we're seeing in the white community, many of their leaders have sold them down the river.
Mark Crutcher is our guest. We're going to come back from break and give him the floor to get into his film, How Eugenics Was First Tested Out on Black People. The first IBM computer was to track blacks. Of course, we cover all that in my film, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, which Mark years ago told me influenced his great film, Maafa 21, Black Genocide in the 21st Century America. You need to get this out to every American you know, black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. We're all being targeted.